All right, this Thursday edition of Culotta and the Prince, the vlog here, wrapping up today's show. Tons of reaction from yesterday's National Signing Day. Quick hands, bro. Did you catch it?
Yeah.
All right, nice. LSU's class of 2015, pretty strong group. Signed 25. Brandon Martin's papers come in late yesterday afternoon. Another big-time wide receiver added to this class. Still a possibility that he could possibly be eligible for the fall semester. But we talked to Ed Ogeron and Jeff Grimes here on today's edition of Culotta and the Prince. Let's start with Grimes. I thought his group really, outside of the running backs, when LSU probably signed the best running back class in America with Brissett, Geis, and Ducre already on campus. The last month of this process with Grimes and the offensive line in particular, they didn't bring any warm bodies in here. They brought 5 bona fide SEC offensive linemen. May not be prepared to play next season, but they may not have a spot to get on the field with he has returning. Just a heck of a job, I thought, by Grimes and the offensive line and the offensive staff by closing up that part of the team.
Well, that's what you want to do. You want to bring these guys in and give them and have your roster built where you have some time to develop some of these guys. You could see Chidi Valentine-Okeke. He's not a guy who's going to come in and play right away, but he's got all the tools. He's just green as grass. You get a chance to work with him. I think it was good that we had Ogeron and Grimes on today because I see a lot of similarities there. Last year, when Grimes came in prior to National Signing Day, he didn't have a chance to really add to that class that he already had with Brumfield and Clapp. Afterwards, he brought in a junior college guy in Javante Damon, but he didn't really have enough time to work and make that class his own. We saw with his first full year the results, the 5 guys that he brought in. I think that's what we're going to see out of Ed Ogeron. You bring him in before National Signing Day this year, where you give him a couple of those days where he can go out and go take some visit with the 2016 guys, as well as recruit the 2015 guys. Ogeron was able to get Arden Key, but I think that's much the same way that 1 year later you saw a drastic improvement in Grimes. I think you'll see something similar with Ogeron.
We talked to Ogeron. You can hear it in his voice to wear the colors, have LSU on the chest, be able to go into the side living rooms with Les Miles. That relationship, I think, is going to pay. That's going to be almost a rock star type relationship with Miles and the weight he carries in the college football world, and now Ogeron with just the intensity and the love and the passion he has for the place in college football. It's a big win-win on the recruiting trail.
Well, it's funny, we've heard from a lot of people saying, well, I don't know how Miles is going to deal with that personality. They're not going to get along. You and I were in a room with both of them last night. They get along really well. Yeah. And then you hear where Coach Ogeron, and again, Coach Ogeron, he's going to tell us exactly what he's thinking. He raves about Les Miles and about the ability that Les Miles has on the trail in recruiting. Thus far, it's been about as good as you can imagine for Ed Ogeron at LSU.
Hayes in the barn with 2015. Yeah. What's your overall thoughts of the class?
Well, people are always going to bring up the negatives, which are you added one quarterback who's not a guy who's ready to go. But then again, last year you brought in a guy who's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the country. He wasn't ready to go. Alabama signed a number of guys that were top-rated guys. They still went to a 5th-year senior in Blake Sims last year. LSU's going to be able to get better at the quarterback position as these guys get older and they mature. You still need to add some more depth there, and I think next year with Felipe Franks, a guy who's going to be the #1 quarterback in the country, well, maybe not because of the politics of the fact that he's already committed, but for a guy that LSU's in on, you look at his tools, it's off the charts. The other thing I think people are going to look at is the lack of linebackers in this class. Les Miles, Frank Wilson, everybody, they'll even say, look, we would have liked to have added a linebacker in this class. Leo Lewis was that guy. They lose him on the morning of National Signing Day. So linebackers and quarterbacks are kind of what you look at and you say, those are things that LSU will stress in the 2016 class. Keon Joyner, #1 linebacker in the country, guy that LSU's in great shape with out of North Carolina. Felipe Franks already got a commitment from there. So I think that there's some things that they're going to be able to point to as a positive because it was a negative in the 2015 class. Now, the things that LSU did really well, wide receivers, running backs, offensive line, defensive backs.
Definitely.
I mean, it's off the charts there. And then, who else?
Don't overlook the special teams factor in this class.
That's what I was going to say. You know that Les Miles puts a priority on special teams. You get Josh
deep snapper.
Groden, you get Blake, absolutely, and you bring in a guy like Leonard Fournette, who's a guy that can go out and be a return man for you. I think that's one of the underrated things about building a program is that you have to be able to put all your priorities in and say special teams matter for us. So that means you're gonna dedicate some scholarships to special teams.
Another place kicker they'll bring in as well as a preferred walk-on from a kid right here in Baton Rouge and Gonsolin, Jack Gonsolin, right out of Catholic High. So heavy emphasis on special teams. And you talk about a kid like Dante Jackson and Tyron Johnson, they can help you in the return game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's, I think it's a really nice class. Certainly, as we talk about the two areas that even the coaching staff publicly has said that they would have liked to improve on that. But the other things, those other spots are just off the charts. And again, boys from the boot this weekend. Recruiting never stops.
Yeah. Look, killer podcast today, 1045ESPN.com. Great conversation with Ed Ogeron. The conversation with Grimes went 20 minutes, and he gave you a lot of in-depth conversation about Lyle Collins, what he learned in his senior season, how he helped his draft stock out, the incoming guys that they signed yesterday, and even the complimentary players that are going to battle for spots going into the spring and into the fall. Close it out on Johnny Jones and a big one tonight. Like they're all big, but a game he should win. Coming off of a tough loss in Starkville at the Hump on Saturday, long layoff, able to get Jalen Patterson and Jordan Mickey back to not full strength, but healthy enough to play tonight. It's kind of the theme we've talked about. The games you should win, you have to win. Tonight they should win. They need to win.
They need to win. Simple as that. Cannot afford another bad loss, and losing at home to Auburn would be that. On the road at Missouri, on the road at Mississippi State, those are bad losses. You need to avoid bad losses. This is a team that has the talent to make it to the tournament. They need to win.
We're on Twitter at 1045ESPN, and you can catch us 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday.
Friday morning, Kendall Rogers at 8:30 talking about National College Baseball, 1 week from first pitch in LSU baseball, and LSU head coach Les Miles will join us on your morning drive.
Culotta and the Prince, weekdays 7 to 9 a.m., Capital City's best in sports talk, 1045, 1049, ESPN Baton Rouge.